So hello friends. So in this lecture we will try to find out what is vectors in linear algebra. So we'll start by explaining that what is really this thing Rn or Rn, right? So we know that real numbers are really all kinds of numbers like integers, rationals or irrationals. Maybe 1.11, this is also a real number, or maybe root 2, this is also a real number, or maybe minus 10, this is also a real number, or maybe pi, 3.141 kind of stuff, that is also a real number. Now in two dimensions we can define a point. Let's say this is y-axis, this is x-axis, as maybe 1, 2. So this 1, 2, this list of two numbers is really a number in R2. Now what if we have R3? What this is that it is a list of three numbers. Let's say if A belongs to R3, what will be A? A could be 1, 5.5, 2. This is what is defined by A. Now what if A belongs to Rn? What this means is that A is a vector, not really, I'll just define that A is a list of n numbers. Let's say A is equal to B1, B2 up to Bn, where each of Bi belongs to real numbers, right? So this list of n numbers is what is really called a vector. Vector V is equal to B1, B2, up to Bn. So what is this V bar? So we just write a bar on its head to separate it from any other terms like numbers and stuff. We call that V bar is a vector. What this n is the dimension of this vector, right? And so we define vectors as tuples of n tuples of real numbers, really. And this is what really is a vector. Now suppose we have two vectors, V bar is equal to B1, B2, B3 and Bn, and U bar is equal to C1, C2 up to Cn. Now we want to know what is the addition of two vectors. What do you mean by this stuff, like V bar plus U bar? What this really means is that when we do V bar plus U bar and they both have same dimensions n, and they can be really added. And what is their addition? Their addition is nothing but element wise addition of their, like the tuples, whatever the elements are there, and they're added up, like A1 plus B1, B2 A2 plus B2. So we do element wise addition of their respective components. So what is the component, like A1, A2? This is really what is the component. Like we say that A1 is the first component, A2 is the second component, or maybe An is the nth component of V bar, right? And up to An plus Bn, right? So this is really what is called the addition of real of two vectors. Now just look at that A1 plus B1 is also a real number, right? So if A1 belongs to R, b1 belongs to R, then a1 plus b1, this will also belong to R. This is because, like, a simple thing, like let's say 1.1 plus 3.4, so that's 4.5, and that is really another real number. So this a1 plus b1, a2 plus b2, all these are real numbers. And so this whole list of these additions is another vector. Let's say P, capital P bar. So summation of two vectors is also another vector, right? And now we will just define what is really called a zero vector or a null vector. Null vector, that is 0 bar, where all the components are zeros. Its null vector is different from 0, where only 0 is only a real number, right? And zero vector is a vector, like it has n components of zeros, where all the components are zeros, really. So this is what is vector, and in the next lecture we'll just try to learn more about them. So stay tuned to my channel and also subscribe.